All right, so what was your first ministry experience?
My first ministry experience. Holy cow. So, I felt called to be a pastor at a pretty young age. And I had no clue what that meant. Zero. And so, out of high school, playing in bands and stuff, started a band with Jess, and that became our ministry. But because we were Church of Christ and they don't allow musical instruments, we kind of talked to some of the elders and staff there, and they said we could do it as long as we weren't praising Jesus. As long as we didn't go into any venues and praise Jesus while we were doing it. So we were,
That seems really backwards.
yeah, so we weren't a Christian band at all. And most of them, I suffer with panic disorder really bad and depression. So a lot of the songs were about that. And we'd go to different clubs and stuff, and there'd be like these hidden Christian themes within the songs, but depression and panic disorder and the stuff that goes along with that resonates with people, because I think a lot of people suffer those things, but they don't know what to do with it. Especially in the Christian world, they really don't know what to do with depression. I'm sure we'll have a full episode on that down the road, because I see so many people who don't get it. Like, depression's like a real thing. Like, it's a real chemical imbalance. It's not necessarily just somebody having a bad day. And so we connected with a lot of people through that. And I think that was ministry. I mean, when we had people come up to us afterwards, even just randomly saying, "Hey, I found Jesus because I heard your band play."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, I mean, yeah, we were, I don't even like using the word Christian band, because I don't know that we actually were one, although we were mostly all Christians playing music. But, after Jess and I had kids, things kind of shifted. And so the band days, all the fun and the touring and the traveling, that all ended, and we got involved in our local church. So I started teaching 5th through 8th grade boys at our church, and I did that for a while, and just kind of had that itch to speak and to preach. And there was one time at our church where they had a call for elders. They were looking for elders, and I knew at this particular church I was not old enough to be an elder. But I went forward after church, and I said, I want to be an elder, a pastor. What do we do to get this thing rolling? And there's the young guy. This is cute, kind of response. But I did have one of the other elders at the church. He came up he was excited that I was taking that initiative. And for almost 2 years, 3 nights a week,
Wow.
we studied the Bible. And I mean, for a couple hours at a time. And we went through all the Church of Christ doctrine first, which I'm still trying to put some of those pieces together in my head. Like, why did God have me do that? Why did God have me learn so many things that I just fundamentally disagree with now? Like, why did I learn all those things? I still don't know sometimes. But we did all that, and then we started going through Genesis and then Exodus, and I mean, 3 nights a week on top of going to regular church. And it was shortly after that the wheels kind of fell off in a big way.
What happened?
So
You commit to this guy for 3 nights a week for a couple hours. I mean, were they training anybody else to be pastors at the church?
No, just me.
So here's the young prospect. Here he is, wants to be in ministry, and then what happens? How'd you get shut down?
So at our at the church there, on the 4th Sunday of every night, they would have like a song service, and they did everything a cappella. And they would have one of the 5th through 8th grade boys, or one of the younger men, maybe in high school, whatever. One of the younger guys would get up and he'd do like a little 10 to 15 minute Devo at this thing. And I told the elder who I was studying under, I was like, I want to do a Devo. I want to do one of these. And he's like, all right. And so he's like, put together a lesson, and we'll review it. Him and there was one other elder. I think the church was around 500 people at this point.
Oh wow!
And so, so I put together a mini sermon, and I sit down with the two elders of this church, and we go over it. And they were critiquing it along the way, which I anticipated. Honestly, like, I speak now and preach, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, if a pastor is generous enough to let me speak from his pulpit, then, you know, I want to do him the honor of going through whatever I'm going to say, because those are his people that I'm talking to. They're not mine, and I could lead them astray, you know, on a whim. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we go through this thing, and it's looking good. And we're planning out a date and everything. And then the elder who I had been studying with, he goes, just think, the kid who came into church with blue hair is going to deliver a sermon. And the other elder looked me straight in the face, and he goes, you're the kid with blue hair? You're not doing it. And I hadn't had blue hair.
For real?
I hadn't had blue hair in 8 years.
He just shut you down right then and
Yeah,
there.
you were the kid who walked in with blue hair? You're not doing it.
I feel like this would be the same guy that would look at the demon-possessed man that Jesus healed and say, oh, you used to have demons in you and used to cut yourself and have chains and yell at people. Man, you can't be a part of this church, even though Jesus would have healed him. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's legalism at its worst.
Yeah, and so like the next day, I go back to my regular study with the elder who I'd been under for a while, and I goes, what happened? And he said, I don't know. I think he doesn't want you to preach because you had blue hair. And so,
That sounds
like, even
so ridiculous.
Even the other elder, the two of them couldn't agree on it, and you know, I just like that was so disheartening. I mean, theologically,
Just shut you right down.
yeah. I
Did
felt
you not
like,
want to be a pastor after that? You were like, maybe I shouldn't be a pastor
No,
anymore.
and I think I handled it as best as I could. Like I tried not. I didn't hold anything hard against the guy. At least I tried not to. I mean, here I am several years later, still talking about it. So I guess there's still some, but no. I mean, definitely, I felt shut down. He never gave me the solid reason why. You know, and then other things too. Like, I want to be a deacon. I was old enough to be a deacon, not an elder at this particular church. You're not being a deacon. But why? Why can't I be a deacon? And then, you know, I look at the church budget and I ask questions about the budget, and they no longer publish the church budget after that. And so I just felt like every time I took a step to make an initiative, I wanted to be involved. I really did. I got shut down at every turn. And then it got to a point where I'm out.
So you and your wife, and how many kids did you have at this point? Did you have Rex?
We had two.
Okay.
We had two. Oliver and Gunnar were born.
So you guys just said, see ya. We're out.
Yeah, it didn't go that smoothly. I mean, yeah, it was time to look for a new church, and we found the church we go to now. And I want to make something clear real quick. Like, on this podcast, when we talk about the church, we're not talking so much. When I say the word church in the general sense, we're not talking about the church that we're currently going to. Mm-hmm. Like, I want this to reach beyond that. We're talking about the church as a whole.
Church universal, all the
Yes.
believers in Christ.
Yeah. So what was I talking about? I got derailed.
You're talking about when you came to the church
Oh,
that you're
yeah.
at now.
Yeah. So I had shared with our pastor that story, and he said something that was it was like a breath of fresh air. You know, I told him that, and it's like because of the blue hair and all that jazz, and he goes, that's a load of crap. He's like, screw all that. Let's you and I go and let's build the kingdom. And I was like, holy, nobody's ever said that to me before. I've always been shut down every turn. Every time I try to do something, I write curriculums, I write sermons, and every single one of them has been blocked. I write down ministry ideas, blocked. I mean, everything. I wrote down a whole children's ministry curriculum. Whole thing was blocked.
You still have that?
Yeah, you know why that one got blocked?
Why?
Because I had I want to do puppet shows for the kids, and they thought that might be too entertaining for the kids. Yeah, yeah, that was just another nail in the coffin. And so yeah,
We really don't want our kids to laugh at this church. We don't want them to laugh.
Yeah, so for the and I'm not saying like I already said it was a Church of Christ. I'm not saying all churches of Christ are bad. I've visited other churches of Christ that are very good. It's just this particular one with the particular leadership at a particular time. It was not a match. It was definitely not a fit.
Okay.
And so yeah, to hear a pastor say, "Screw all that. Let's go build this thing." Like to me that was the breath of fresh air that I needed. It was a complete clean start over. I think we took a few weeks off, and I'll be honest, the first time we walked into the church we go to now, I hated it. I did. I hated it with a passion, and I thought it was the most ridiculous, overproduced, fake thing I had ever seen. Saw the pastor who was up there. I was like, that dude's not real. I mean, I was so jaded from church experience. I was like dejected. And then you come to this thing, and this just is an overproduced mess, I thought, you know. And that was me being judgmental. Like,
Yeah.
it took me a while, and I'll admit that, like, me being judgmental like that was wrong of me, but it's just where I was at the time. And then, you know, slowly you get to learn people, you get to know people, and you get to see their hearts. And you're like, no, these people, they really love Jesus. They don't always get everything right, but they're always trying to. Mm-hmm. And so, to me, like, the effort, the journey was something that really, you know, caught me, that I could hold on to.
Well, I didn't have that much of the similar experience. I remember, you know, I was, like we talked about earlier, I was doing Boss, and I was trying to just do ministry the only way I knew how, which was just to have guys over for pizza and read a chapter out of the Bible and talk about it. And
so you didn't ask for like permission from anybody, though. You just went and did it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't really doing much with my faith at the time. The only thing that I really did was I sang in choir. I was a bass. Me and the pastor, the lead pastor, were the only guys singing bass.
Yeah.
And
You want to sing some bass for us right now?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't
really
have a
want to.
hymnal. I need my brown hymnal. 464 was "It Is Well With My Soul." Oh,
Buddy, we're in a church, man. We got hymnals galore.
oh my gosh, those things. I love hymns. That's why I love King's Kaleidoscope so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, no, I didn't ask for permission. I didn't even know I was supposed to ask for permission.
Yeah, I think that's pretty rad. Like, you just like, I'm gonna open my Bible. I'm just gonna do this.
And the Lord was very gracious.
Yeah, I mean,
I look
but
at
that's
some of my
so
notes. I'm like,
genuine,
oh my
though.
gosh, these notes are awful. My notes are so much better. But it came to a point where my wife and I, before we were married, we were kind of talking about getting married. And I said, you know, now that I'm this spiritual leader and I've been studying my Bible and been leading this Bible study, we need to go to a church together that we like. Because I would visit her church, she would visit mine, and we both weren't feeling it. So that's when we came to the church that we're at now. And it's been a long road, and that's actually, that's where I first met our pastor, Pastor Josh. And the first thing I said to him was like, hey, do you guys do marriage counseling? And he's like, yeah, why don't you come over? And his wife made this excellent Mexican lunch. Like, it was like make your own burrito buffet. And it was awesome. Like, that was one of my pregnancy cravings when my wife was pregnant, was Mexican food and caramel. And so anytime somebody like says, you want to make your own burrito? I'm like, yes, I would. I would love to make my own burrito. Anyway, I digress.
I think Mexican food's like, it's like the staple when you're inviting new people over.
Everybody loves it.
Yeah, nobody doesn't love it.
It's great for all people with food allergies as well.
Yeah, because you just lay everything out there and just like make your own.
Make your own
Yeah.
burrito.
Yeah,
You want sour cream or you don't want sour cream, which is stupid if you don't use sour cream.
I hate sour
Anyway,
cream. Hate it.
so I went over to Combs's house, and Josh Combs. I went over to his house, and I told him, I said, I kind of feel like I feel called to ministry. I've been doing this Bible study at my house. It's going really well. Even though I don't have a lot of ministry training under my belt, I feel like it's growing. The Bible's starting to make sense. I'm like able to remember verses, and I said that then, and I should have said, well, the Holy Spirit was bringing verses to memory for me.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta give him mad credit for that. Anyway,
That's funny because at the same time, I had gone to him too and said, I think God's called me to be a pastor.
so you got the invite.
Like we're in the same time frame of.
So this is
should
when
we
we
do this
met.
pastor thing. Yeah.
So we met at Josh's Pastors Academy that he started, and it first started at his house.
Yeah, because he had a number of guys come up to him and say, I feel like God's called me to be a pastor. What church does that? Which church that you know of has a number of young men all at the same time say, I think God's called me to ministry. I think God's called me to be a pastor.
I mean,
That's incredible.
it is. And I mean, some of those guys, we know them still, we're still in contact with them. Some of them have full-time ministry jobs, and others of them are just really faithful to the church, and they're just killing it, just doing ministry while also trying to, raise a family and hold down jobs.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember the first night I went to Pastors Academy. I had my giant ESV study Bible. It's back here, and I put it on the little makeshift music stand that we were using for a pulpit, and I broke the
You
music
crumbled
stand.
that thing.
And we all laughed. And the funny thing was, I still had to preach my sermon.
You preached it bent over.
I
at the
preached it bent
waist.
over like this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, so we're going to be in Luke 15, lost sheep.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And actually, when I got done preaching that sermon, Josh says, that was the best 4-minute sermon
You nailed it.
I've ever heard.
You nailed it.
I said, it was
Absolutely.
only 4 minutes?
Yeah.
And then I sat down, and then I think you got up right after me, and you preached the longest sermon
Yeah.
ever.
I'll show you how to do it like a boss.
I always used to say I used to surrender my time to you. Whatever time I didn't use for my
Yeah,
4-minute
because we had a
sermon.
10-minute time limit.
Yeah, so I would just say, Jason can just have my time.
Yeah. I'd
And so
use
you
your
get
other
done
15.
preaching your long sermon, and Josh says, "All right, Jason, like, time's up," and you're like, "Well, I want to sing a hymn." You're like, here we go, hymn boy, showing off for the pastor.
I think on another one I wrote like a poem and like read a poem that I wrote.
You're so artsy.
Yeah.
You're so artsy.
Well, you got to connect with people.
So now that we've met each other, we're at church together. Let's talk about some of those weird and awkward ministry moments because,
boy.
I mean, now people know that, hey, we're called to ministry. They heard our stories a little bit. What are some of the awkward ministry moments that you've had?
All right. So, I mean, through this little Pastors Academy,
Okay, yeah.
how we got started in like real ministry,
Yeah.
one of the first things we do is we go to drug recovery homes. We go to Odyssey House, Salvation
Yep, I remember
Army.
that. Yep.
And you and I did that a lot. We
Yeah.
went there together and which I was not ready for that. I really was not. I was thinking church job, like I'm going to be a pastor somewhere at a nice comfy church job
Yep.
and I guess not do anything real, and God said the exact opposite. Like just threw me right in. Like,
Yeah.
You're going to Odyssey House and you're going to be doing some hard stuff right off the bat. And it was like, so awkward moments. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah. What was awkward moment?
Awkward was this one time at Odyssey House in downtown Flint. I had one guy show up for Bible study.
One guy, and you
One guy.
still did it.
Yeah, and this guy, he had been homeless. They were letting him stay there. And I started going through my lesson with him, and it was clear, like, this dude wasn't going to get it. Like, the drugs had messed with his brain to the point where he wasn't going to get, and I'm trying my hardest, and it was like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And the subject, it comes up at the Salvation Army too, smoking. Is smoking a sin? And this guy was thoroughly convinced that he was going to hell because he smoked cigarettes. Which is funny because I got the candy cigarettes. And that's what the lady at the counter, when I was picking those up, she's like, I remember these before smoking was a sin.
I remember that.
And so, yeah, this guy thought he was going to hell. And no matter, I could not convince him that he wasn't. And so, I mean, we go through
I shouldn't laugh. That's kind of...
we go through this big long, it was really sad. I could not convince this guy that he was not going to hell, and because of smoking cigarettes. And we get to the end of it, and he sounds like genuinely like, yeah, I'm never going to smoke again. I'm like, dude, you missed the whole thing because I was just telling you how it doesn't matter. Or no, if I smoke, I'm going to hell. I was like, all right, buddy. No, you're not. But, we'll say, I prayed with the guy. And then he leaves. I watch him walk right out front and light up. And I was just like, oh, man, that poor dude. Like,
That's something that tobacco companies don't tell you, though.
Yeah.
If you smoke, you go to hell.
yeah.
It should be right underneath the Surgeon General's warning.
I just felt so bad because this guy couldn't shake it. And he walks right out and lights up. It was just like, it was so hopeless on his part. Like, it was pain. What about you? Awkward moments.
So my awkward moments are really it's one long story.
Okay.
So after I started coming to the church for a while that we're going to, and I started getting involved in different things, and Pastor Josh offers me a job. And he sent me into the most awkward ministry position I think the church has ever had. And that is, go be our Flint Connections director at our Flint location that they just opened up. And it was like, all right, so this really naive, never went to seminary, literally has 2 years of a men's Bible study as his ministry profile under his belt. Let's send him to Flint. And I got to admit, I was super pumped. I was like, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to win the city for Jesus.
Flint.
And Flint.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I was incredibly jealous.
You are way more qualified, in my opinion.
I was incredibly. That's what I
like,
thought
why didn't
too.
they pick
It turns
Jason?
out I was not way more qualified. But
I'm not
on
qualified.
different
I'm not
grounds.
there anymore.
But I was so incredibly jealous at the time. Yeah, keep going.
It's okay. The Lord forgives your jealousy.
Okay, I'm glad. let me smoke another cigarette.
Just calm down. Have some more sugar sticks.
Another roundup.
Oh, man. So my whole ministry experience was really one big awkward moment because, one, I've never done this job before. Before that, I'd been working in a wood shop for 7 years. So I'd been doing carpentry. And
Like Jesus.
yeah, like Jesus. That's why carpenters are more holy than other professions.
That's why you got the long hair.
Exactly.
I mean, this guy looks like a carpenter. The scale's ridiculous.
He's got some nail marks. Oh, bad joke.
Yeah, that was not cool.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, keep going.
No, so I go out to Flint. This white kid who's been literally living in the woods his whole life in Metamora. And I literally just start meeting people and just kind of going around downtown Flint, trying to just get a feel for what ministry looks like in the city. I remember I met with a lot of locals and just asked them, like, what do you need? What is church look like for you? And a lot of people told me that, yeah, we're just not about church, or we already go to this church, or whatever. There's a lot of churches in downtown Flint. But one of the craziest things I ever did, and it was really awkward as well, is I'm like 6 months into the job. Not even 6 months. Actually, I think it was only 3 months into the job. And Pastor Josh says, hey, there's a couple that lives by our church building in Flint. I want you to go marry them. And I'm like, what? I'm not even ordained. I'm not even on the payroll as a pastor. I'm a director of connections. And he's like, just go online and just get ordained online.
Just get the fake one. By the way, Jess has that too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is
She's
it-
done more weddings than I have.
Oh, well, you'll get there, buddy.
Yeah, someday.
And so I get online, and literally it's so easy. If anybody wants to get ordained to do weddings, all you have to know is your name, how to spell your name, and your birth date. And they literally send you an email saying, you're ordained.
Does it?
And-
It's like $5, isn't it?
No, I didn't have to pay anything.
Oh, I thought it was like $5.
I wasn't going to pay $5.
Anyway, keep going. I keep
Anyway,
interrupting you.
so I go to this house, and I meet with this couple, and they were a really sweet couple, and they were nice, but they lived in this really old house in Flint. And I said, well, where are we going to do the wedding at? You guys want to use the church building? What's going on? It's like, we're just going to do it right here in the living room. So I go in the living room, and I'm wearing like khaki pants and like a short sleeve button-up shirt, trying to look somewhat professional. And I get there, and the guy says, "You're too overdressed." I was like, "What? You're too overdressed?" And he gives me a leather biker vest to wear. I have the picture on my phone. Maybe we'll post it on Instagram. And so so I said, "All right, let's do this marriage thing." So I get up there and literally preach a 5-minute marriage sermon, like, what does the Bible say about marriage? And then I did the I do's, and they did the I do's. And the other funny thing, it was really awkward. The guy who's getting married, his ex-wife, was in the living room watching her ex-husband get married again. And so, I did the service, I do's, I signed the paperwork, and the guy asked me, he goes, how much does this cost? I said, it doesn't cost anything. I'm just happy to do it. I'm happy that you guys were my first wedding that I did. And he's just like, no, seriously, how much? I was like, I don't know, just whatever. I don't care. So he hands me $40. I was like, okay, sweet, $40. And I think I put it in the offering plate when it went by.
Super Christian.
I didn't want to get paid. But then after that, he asked me, he says, hey, you want some weed? I was like, nah, I'm not that kind of Jesus person. And then I left.
See, what if you would have put the weed in the offering plate and kept the $40?
Yeah, that would have been fun. I should have done that.
Yeah.